Designing the Penultimate Pulk Sled.
I'm practically perfect from head to toe. If I had a fault, it would never dare to show. I'm so practically perfect in every way.
The basic principle for this design is KISS, or keep it simple, stupid. This means the sled is easy to build and reliable to use, but to live up to the name Penultimate, it also has to work. A Pulk sled is used to haul cargo like camping gear instead of carrying it on your back. The simplest way to pull a sled is with a tow rope. Rope is very strong, flexible, and reliable. Unfortunately, rope only works under tension, or as my sailor father used to say, you can't push on a rope. There's a series of YouTube videos of a Pulk sled towed by a rope, which is appropriately titled Demon Sled. To try to tame the demon sled, you can run the rope through PVC pipe, which keeps the sled from running into you on the downhills. But unfortunately, it doesn't keep the sled on the trail. To control the sled better, you can ditch the rope and add more pipe and bolts in the sled to make the whole thing rigid. Or, if you're very talented, you can switch to fiberglass poles with complicated metal attachments like ball joints, eye bolts, cut threads in the poles for metal couplers, metal channels on the sled, pins, etc., etc. Then you'll need to sew up a belt with padding, loops, crotch straps, and maybe a shoulder harness. But you haven't tamed the demon until you've added retractable metal fins on the back of the sled. That demon is still lurking in there waiting for something to break. The problem is that instead of a simple KISS design, you've created a keep it complicated kludge, which I call a kick design. I define a kludge as something that's too hard for me to build. So here's what I've come up with. I use good old, simple, reliable, flexible rope to attach the sled and the belt to fiberglass poles. And to do that, I glue 3-inch PVC pipes to the end of the poles. I keep the ropes under tension with a strap on the sled and with the belt itself. Finally, I bolt simple aluminum runners to the back of the sled. The secret to keeping the ropes under tension is the number 2 spur grommet, which I use in pairs on the sled and on the belt. I use the Paris Expedition sled, but this should work with any sled. I put grommets at the front corners of the sled and another grommet 2 inches behind this corner grommet. First, I run the loop down through the rear grommet and then back up through the corner grommet on each side like this. Then I run the strap through both rope loops and tighten the strap to hold the poles firmly against the grommets. This is so simple and works so phenomenally well, I'm tempted to call it the ultimate sled attachment. Here's a clip of the sled connection in action.
Trying to show the attachment to the sled.
For the belt, I use simple 2-inch webbing, either nylon or polyester, about 5 feet long. I put 3 pairs of grommets in the belt. The grommets in each pair are 2 inches apart, and the rope loops are 1.5 inches long. To help thread the loops through the grommets, I put a small cable tie on the end of each loop. This shows the rope loops threaded through the center pair of grommets, which is the best position most of the time. For harder trails, you can cross the poles over and attach them to the outer 2 pairs of grommets. Here's a clip that shows how well the loop system holds the poles against the belt. To make this the Penultimate belt, I add a Black Hawk military belt pad and a plastic double-adjusting buckle. The belt here is made of polyester seatbelt webbing. That's a rubber shoulder strap in the middle, but I've found that it isn't necessary. The belt pad cushions the poles from your back by itself. To keep the sled on the trail, I bolt 2 pieces of 1/2-inch aluminum angle on the back of the sled. I haven't noticed any increased resistance, but it sure keeps the sled from sliding off the trail. And when it does slide down a steep side hill, it slides slowly and stays under control. You don't have to get fancy with the bolt heads. Regular pan heads are fine since they all slide in the same groove in the snow. I want to say a little bit about pole geometry. The Penultimate belt allows you to attach the poles to the center of your back like a trailer. This turns your sled into a typical tractor-trailer configuration. The runners act like the rear wheels of a trailer to keep the sled always pointed to the center of your back. A trailer tow vehicle has a single hitch ball in the center. You'll never see a tow vehicle with more than one ball, and you'll never see a trailer with a square front. Don't be tempted to attach the poles to your sides in parallel. If you do this, the only thing keeping the sled behind you is sliding resistance. On downhills, it will swing wildly off the trail. On corners, it will turn too soon and cut off the corners horribly. Remember, friends don't let friends use parallel poles. The center pole attachment point lets you walk or ski freely with less fatigue. Works better on steep downhills to keep the sled behind you. But you have to remember to swing wide around the corners, just like driving a semi. Here's a clip that shows what I'm talking about.
That's right, go wide.
For harder trails, you can cross the poles over and use the side grommet pairs on the belt. The sled will follow you nicely around the corners using cross poles. If you wrap a piece of Velcro one wrap around the poles where they meet, the sled is much less likely to tip over on steep side hills, even if it slides into a tree holder down the hill. This clip shows the advantages of cross poles and rear runners.
Wow. Just track right down after you. Look at that. Don't look at that. Yeah, just pull it out. Pull, pull. Well, that was close. Yeah, this is really steep.
For a longer demonstration of the sled in action, see the video Using the Penultimate Pulk Sled.